This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is Not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane. This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hey, this is Romeo, and this is Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James J., and it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with Romeo.
Hello. Thank you, James, for having me. It has been a crazy week, but I'm glad to be here speaking with you. Do I promote anything now? Is now the time for this?
Yeah. Promote.
No, yeah.
Feed your family in the words of Dusty Rhodes.
I love that. You can mostly see our work on, my work rather, on Triller TV. If you have a Triller TV Plus subscription, you can go watch DexCon shows. Just type in DexCon as DEXCON, and all our shows from 2023 will be on the platform. You can go catch that. And if you also want to watch our work in Puso Wrestling, it's also available on YouTube. Just type in Puso Wrestling, PUSO Wrestling, and everything you need to watch is there for free. Please do support us, and I hope you have fun watching our stuff.
And where can we find you on social media as well?
Right. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at shang.daddy, SHANG.DADDY. You can also talk wrestling with me on X, on Twitter, at Roiswar, ROISWAR. I'm chronically online. I'm super active on social media. I post a lot, so please do follow me if you enjoy what you hear from this interview with James here. And let's have fun talking about wrestling.
Absolutely. And you don't have to go looking for it. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. Alright, let's get into it. You mentioned that you work for Puso Pro Wrestling and DexCon. Can you tell us about your relationship with those companies?
Yeah. After the pandemic, or rather coming out of the pandemic, I was hired to provide commentary for Manila Wrestling Federation, which was a competitor. To be honest, it was a competitor of my previous home promotion, Philippine Wrestling Revolution. And from there, after MWF closed, I was hired by DexCon first to wrestle and then to provide commentary as well, while I continued my commentary job in Puso Wrestling, whereas I also wrestle part-time for both. So I am kind of a player commentator here, but I am now more on the commentary side because I think that's where my strengths are. I think everyone involved with the production of the promotions, they feel that I lend my talents better on the commentary side of things.
And how would you kind of say Pinoy Pro Wrestling has evolved over the years? You know, considering you were a part of PWR, one of the first promotions to pop up in the Philippines, compared to now.
That's a great question. I think the biggest factor, rather, for the evolution of the Philippine pro wrestling scene, the Pinoy wrestling scene, as you mentioned, is that more and more foreign international talents are are taking notice of us and are visiting us. So before the pandemic, we did used to get visitors. We did used to get training from people who were trained by Lance Storm, some of by the NJPW Dojo, stuff like that. But now more than ever, I think they really are lending their talents, their knowledge, their wisdom to us. And I think at least I can only speak to how we train in Puso right now, but there is a factor of greater professionalism, if you will. I feel like in Puso, there is a bigger mindset of treating this like a sport, like a professional sport that one trains in. I feel like that has led to a much better product, much better work, much better wrestling, and I feel like more people finally take it seriously or take it more seriously and get better that way by doing that, by taking it more seriously.
And I do believe that it is maybe more, from what I've heard, PWR wasn't the best work environment. No.
It was a product of its time and a product of its people. I don't know, like maybe if JDL has told you about all that stuff. I'm not actually quite familiar with how much he had told you, but personally, it wasn't the best for me mentally, I guess. But we did try to make it work, and I feel like I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. Yeah, maybe you could say it wasn't the best, but we did try to make the most of it.
I got you. Well, like you said, Pinoy Pro Wrestling is in a very good place right now. So, learning from the mistakes of the past. And, I mean, obviously, it's in good hands with, Fabio being the trainer and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of Fabio, not too long ago, you were able to step in the ring with Fabio and Rob and Zane. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the very first time, no?
Yeah, that's right. I wrestled both Rob and Zane and Fabio Makisi for the first time. It was something of a dream match. If you follow the local wrestling scene here in the Philippines for quite a while now, seeing as all those involved in that match were, as you can say, OGs, right? Rob and Zane and Main Max, the original OGs. Myself following in a later batch. Fabio also following in a later batch. Robin Sane and Fabio Makise started out, or rather got their momentum right after we debuted. But I will say, though, that they ended up being better wrestlers than I was. So it was really interesting to test my own skills and to see if I could still hang with Fabio and Robin Sane. Although we lost, although I took the pin for our team in that match. It was a fun outing. It was a true test of grit and endurance, and I felt like we should run it again and see what happens afterwards.
What was that moment like? Just like you said, four of Philippine OGs all in the ring for the first time.
It was something that I felt like we delivered when it comes to what the fans were expecting. It wasn't like the biggest show ever. It was a Pinoy wrestling night. So a Pinoy wrestling night is basically like a house party. So we invite people. We ask them to pay what they can to get in, and it served as a pre-show for the rest of the Puso wrestling season. So the moment was pretty cool, but you can also tell that there was more in store. Like we kind of held back, and I felt like we could deliver something bigger, something better if we do this again the second time. But it was a great moment. Don't get me wrong. It was a great moment, and although I feel like it wasn't as historic as it could have been. You know what I mean?
Right. That being said, are you going to do it again?
I don't know when, but I am totally down to do it again. I feel like I could ramp up training. I could get back in the wheel, despite me performing more duties on commentary. But I feel like it is something that will be great if we were able to do it again.
Hell yeah. And from what I've heard, because Robin and Fabio wasn't able to wrestle you back then, they were very strong components of wanting to see you back in the ring. What did that kind of mean to you to have, obviously, two well-respected names in the business wanting you to, I don't want to say out of retirement, but coming out from the commentator's boot and, put the boots back on?
Oh yeah, definitely. It means a lot. It means a lot for sure. Back when I was more active, to be honest, Fabio didn't like me that much. He probably thought I was weak, and I will say I was probably not that great back then. But I think he saw my. I started getting back into training again earlier this year when the new year came, and he saw that I still got it, and the fact that he wanted me to be in the ring with him and Robin Sane, along with me and Max, it is pretty honorable. I mean, it was an honor to have him have that faith in me, if you will.
Hell yeah. And I mean, did Fabio like anybody back then?
Sorry, what?
Did Fabio like anybody back then?
That's a good question. You'll have to ask him. I'm not sure.
So you were. Let's start from the beginning. Where you took 3 years off of pro wrestling. Took a step back from the ring. Showed more interest in the commentator's booth. What kind of caused you to take that step away from pro wrestling?
Right, that's a great question. Back when we left PWR during the pandemic, I was kind of disillusioned with how the scene was going. And I'll be honest with you, and I can say this because MWF is no longer a thing. But when they asked us, the people who left PWR in 2020, if we would wrestle for MWF, I wasn't too hot about the idea. I wasn't a fan of the MWF style when it comes to their storytelling, when it comes to their presentation, and when it comes to the style, when it comes to the aesthetic or the feel that they gave their pro wrestling. So what William Elvin wanted to do, or was doing at the time, was he really just wanted to put out a drama product, like something closer to an actual soap opera that Filipinos like to watch on their TVs. And I wasn't feeling that at all. I wasn't feeling Manila Rules. I wasn't about that. I didn't like it. So I just said, I will kind of pass for now. But then they offered the commentary gig, and I realized that, okay, it's not a bad idea. I think it's not a bad idea for me to try out commentary. I only tried to do it once when PWR wanted to try out Stan C and myself to try to put commentary on our recorded matches from shows. So I was coming in kind of blind there, and I was learning the role, the job as I went along. And eventually I enjoyed doing commentary, and it was a for me, it was a low pressure gig that ended up enhancing the wrestling product without me having to go through getting tired, getting nervous, beating myself up for my performances. It was something that fulfilled me in a different way, and I just kept to it. I think I didn't see a great opportunity to get back in the ring until DexCon came calling back at the end of 2023.
And I'm assuming they wanted you to get back in the ring before that. What was, the deciding factor of coming back to the ring? Deciding, okay, I'm going to, lace my boots up again.
Yeah. DexCon and World Underground Wrestling was doing things a bit differently from MWF at the time. So they were doing pro wrestling, which was a little more similar to how we were doing pro wrestling in PWR. So that was what I enjoyed doing. And when they told me that SJM had asked to wrestle me along with Main Max in a tag match, I couldn't say no because that was SJM. And I respected, I enjoyed watching SJM work, and I enjoyed watching him wrestle. That was the kind of guy that I wanted to wrestle, and he forced me to learn a new style that I'd never really tried before in my days in PWR, and it was so fulfilling to do, to just learn new things and get into it with a guy that I really, really respected.
I gotcha. How did that first match back feel? Taking that first bump back.
Some people say it will. Some people, when they take the first bumps again after a long time, they say that it hurts. But to me, when I bumped again in Brawl Pit Bulusan, it was much softer than the ring that we were training in the PWR days. So to me, it was an okay experience. We're talking about the bumps, but the match itself was pretty fun. I don't know if you got to see it from WrestleStorm 2024, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing something that I felt comfortable doing, and I enjoyed not having to wear a mask for one. I enjoyed doing a little bit of shoot style, if you will, and it was fun. I could not have asked for a better comeback match.
Having been on commentary for, primarily the last 3 years prior to that, did it kind of change your perspective or your views when you actually did get back in the ring?
In what way?
I mean, you tell me.
Not necessarily, I think. Doing commentary was its own thing, and I was learning how to do commentary properly. And I was doing that, and I compartmentalized that, It didn't influence how I wrestled, because what I was taking to my wrestling was things that I wanted to do differently from my initial run in PWR. So I think those are two different things.
Okay, I gotcha. Well, you mentioned it. You used to work under a mask.
Yeah.
How was that like? Working underneath a mask.
It was cool at first, but it got pretty. I outgrew it. I outgrew the thing. Maybe because I was worried constantly about how the mask would stay on when I wrestled. And eventually, by the end, I got a much better fitting mask that didn't slip. But for the most part, for my greater run in the early years, it was just really a hassle to work with. Maybe if I had a better mask. I also have sensory overload. I get eventually the mask feels like a second skin, but if it's not fitting the right way, it gets distracting. So I'm happy that I don't have to wear it anymore because maybe for me it wasn't such a good idea. You know what I mean?
Right. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't. It wasn't like a grand event that you took the mask off. You just kind of took the mask off, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I had wanted to, before the pandemic forced us to cancel our March 2020 show. I had actually pitched to take off the mask in a segment in the ring because we weren't wrestling on that show. It was supposed to be Path of Gold 2020, and because we were already champions by then, we were not participating in the Path of Gold match. So I wanted to do a big unmasking segment, and then the pandemic happened, and we didn't do any shows, and just at home, we just decided to do an episode of the Wrestling podcast where I officially took off the mask and explained myself as a wrestler. So that was the only thing that happened. And I understand that a lot of fans didn't really see that until I posted about it myself. But yeah, you're right. It wasn't a big thing at all. And I don't know, maybe there should have been a thing, there should have been a moment where I unmasked for the world to see inside the ring.
Right. Was it odd taking off the mask for the first time? Or, after that, a short period of time of afterwards, that, you was not a masked wrestler anymore?
No, I don't think it was odd because I was already kind of exposed to the PWR audience as myself because I had worked as a referee in shows where we had a shortage of referees. So if you knew who I was, and I was pretty visible to people following PWR, because on social media I didn't really try to make the distinction between, or I didn't try to protect my own kayfabe. I was pretty transparent on social media that Romeo Moran was the Masked Sandata. If you follow me on Twitter, you would know that already. And a lot of people who watched PWR did. And even if you didn't, you can see me at a PWR show unmasked, and you can kind of put two and two together and see that it was me, wearing the mask. So it was an open secret among PWR fans. And by that time, I think it didn't really shock anyone that I unmasked as myself. It was just a matter of time until people saw me as myself.
I gotcha. Well, tell us about your tag partner in MSG, Main Max, and your relationship with him.
Yeah, we were put together. As a team in 2018 because we were both floundering as single stars, and Miss Sansi, he offered to be our mouthpiece, our manager, because it was much better if he talked for us. So at first we weren't close. We had only wrestled each other once, and I don't know if Max was an admirer of me as a character since the beginning, but over time we ended up developing a relationship. We ended up developing chemistry to the point where we are pretty much brothers out there. And I support his singles run as a Pusong Pinoy Wrestling champion, as a top champion. So I trust Main Max with my life in the ring, outside the ring. We're not the most close of friends because we're both introverts and it's kind of hard to talk to each other. Honestly, to be honest. But we have a love that is a bit unspoken, if you will.
I gotcha. I mean, being close to him, saying, he's like your brother, what was that moment like for you when he won the the heavyweight championship?
I live vicariously through Max, so I really loved that he was getting appreciated finally by our peers. Because honestly, to be honest with you, it was our peers who were making the decisions when it came to that, and it was a sign of respect. It was a sign of trust that Main Max could help elevate or help anchor promotion beyond guys like beyond just guys like JDL, Robinson, and Fabio Makise. And I love that for him because between the two of us, he deserved it a lot more because I feel like he is more reliable on that part, on that end. I love that for him, and I am happy personally if I never get to the point where I achieve the same things he achieved, as long as he did, because I feel that he deserves it. So I'm really happy that he was able to reach that point.
Teaming with Max now, is there any difference teaming with him now compared to back then?
That's a good question.
You're not wearing a mask.
I think, yeah, I'm not wearing a mask for one. But we've only actually just teamed twice since my comeback. So last year at WrestleStorm 2024, and this year at Pinoy Wrestling Night. Honestly, I will say that I personally have lost a step because I've been away for so long, and we're kind of no longer used to teaming with each other. If I can be honest about that, that's mostly on me because he was waiting for me, and I took so long to come back, and I don't know how many more times we'll be teaming together, but the difference is I am trying to find that show-to-show continuity again, if you will.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of continuity, this kind of seems a little bit out of continuity. I believe your second match back, you actually teamed with Robin Zane, no?
Yes.
How did that kind of come about?
I am not sure. They just asked me if I wanted to team with Robin Zane, and Robin Zane is one of my best friends in the wrestling business. Honestly, I am actually closer to Robin Zane than I am personally closer to Main Max. You know, I'm not gonna kayfabe that at all. So. Robin Zane is one of my best friends, and I think it was just natural. It was just organic that, you know, maybe he had a say in it that he wanted to team with me. Robin Zane wanted to wrestle me for the longest time. That was his personal dream match, and it's also my personal dream match. But I felt like our friendship was also really organic to the point that it also made sense for the two of us. I don't know if it made sense for the rest of the fans watching. If it made sense for the two of us to team together.
I gotcha. All of your matches since returning to the ring have been tag team matches. Do you think that we could possibly see you in a singles match against Robin?
That is what he's pushing for. That is one of his dreams for the two of us. I'm down for it. I just need to train hard. Any weakness is on me. Like, I am the one who is admittedly still battling off and trying to sand down the rust, if you will. But I think that is a thing that we are working towards before either of us fully gives it up, fully hangs it up. You know.
All right, so Robin Zane getting what he wants. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was that tag match, was that the first time that you had ever teamed with Robin?
Yes, it was.
So I feel like that's a moment, no?
Yes, it was. maybe we should have made it a bigger moment than it was. I feel like we could have done a lot more there. But yes, it was a big thing because our paths did not intersect in any storylines or matchups back when we were both working for NWF and PWR, and back when we had crossed over to each other's companies.
I got you. Well, speaking of another moment, you were able to capture tag team gold with Max on the PWR tag team titles. What did that moment mean to you?
Oh, wow, that is a wonderful question. By that time, I had been working PWR for almost 5 years. By the time we won that, I was 5 years in it. And along that road, along that journey, I had been in consideration for a championship at least once. And for whatever reason, they didn't pull that trigger, you know. And even when I was teaming with Max, there was a time where they should have pulled that trigger, and they didn't. And they waited until 2020 to finally do that. So what that meant to me was that what the win meant to me was that finally we had become undeniable as a team, as part of NSG, because we were over, we were heels, and we were so effective as heels that people wanted to see us succeed. Both the fans and some of our peers in the locker room wanted us to succeed. So that was the moment where I knew that, okay, I'm not totally worthless or useless in the ring after all, despite what people would say about me. So it was a moment where I knew that I had some potential in the business, or some impact on the business, especially in the Philippine wrestling scene.
So it was a validating moment.
Sorry?
It was a validating moment.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Was that a moment you took in the moment, or was it something that kind of set in afterwards, like, wow, I did that?
The thing about me is I don't feel the enormity of moments in the moment. And I rarely also ever feel it afterwards. But yeah, of course I appreciated them. I appreciated being champion. I appreciated having the tag team championship. I actually appreciate it more now that I'm not than when I was at the time. So yes, for sure. Excuse me. Yes, for sure. But I think my brain, the way I'm wired, is I don't fully appreciate things in the moment. If you get what I mean.
No, I understand. Maybe you understood this in the moment. Can you tell us about that time Jeff Cobb drew you?
Yeah. When we found out that Chris Panzer was going to wrestle Jeff Cobb, I knew, and I made it my goal to ask for a spot where Jeff would get physical with us, would throw us around, would suplex us. And to his credit, when Jeff found out that Chris Panzer had backup on his side, he immediately included us in the writing of the match, in how the match went down. So I really appreciated him for that. I didn't have to ask. I didn't have to fight for a spot to get tossed in the ring by him. He knew that it was going to be a nice moment to have in that match. So I really love that guy. And up to now, as you have seen, I like posting about that. I like posting that video and showing people. I just actually showed one of our guests earlier in the podcast this afternoon. I was showing him me getting tossed around by who is now JC Mateo in WWE, right? So I love that. My top 5 moments in the business.
And I believe that was at one of the biggest shows in Philippine.
Yes, Homecoming.
Homecoming, yeah. So I believe I would imagine that would add to that moment, no?
Yeah, yeah, it really did. It really did.
Alright. Now, you've actually walked outside of the Philippines as well. You wrestled in China for Middle Kingdom
Yes.
wrestling. What was that
Yes.
experience like?
Yeah, so Middle Kingdom Wrestling was running a tournament for its, at the time, new championship. It was the Belt and Road Championship. It was playing off of China's economic international initiative, the Belt and Road Initiative, and they invited a bunch of wrestlers from the countries involved in that initiative. So when I found out that China was looking for wrestlers from the Philippines to come over, I just sent email over. I just asked. I wasn't sure really if I was ever going to get considered, but to my surprise, Adrian Gomez. Sorry, I keep messing up his name. Adrian Gomez, the booker of MKW, he chose me. And when I got there, it turned out that, he needed someone to put over the other talents, the stronger talents, the stronger wrestlers in the tournament, if you will. And I was just happy to do that, man. I was just happy to, one, travel to somewhere outside the Philippines and say that I am technically now an international wrestler. And two, to meet my fellow wrestlers from around the world. So some of these people I still am in touch with to this day. And that was a core memory for me, the Belt and Road tournament. It was the first, I know it wasn't the first time that I wrestled back-to-back shows, but it was an atmosphere, and it was an environment where everyone was welcoming of each other, no matter the skill level. A lot of guys there were, some of the guys there rather were more experienced and had more miles on them, had better training than I did, or some of us did, and you wouldn't know it from the short fellowship that we had at the time. So that was pretty great. It was a wonderful thing, and it was a wonderful selection of guys that Adrian and NKW had brought over, had chosen to bring over.
Oh yeah, and Adrian is a friend of the show, so shout out to him as well.
All right. Thank you, Adrian. I'm so sorry I keep messing up your name.
What were some of the differences you saw in the crowds in China compared to the crowds in the Philippines?
Oh yeah. Okay. The crowds we were wrestling for in China had no idea about pro wrestling, so they had no clue about what we were doing. We were wrestling in Harbin. It was a city in the north, bordering Russia, and it was. I don't know, but I felt like it wasn't as metropolitan as the global cities of Shanghai, Shenzhen, Hong Kong, cities like that, right? So it wasn't very Western, and I felt like it was what we were doing in front of them was very alien, and I didn't mind that really. I was just there to wrestle, and if they didn't react to what we were doing, I don't blame any of us for not getting quote unquote really over with them, But if you wrestle in the Philippines, anyone who does well will be rewarded by a really vocal crowd. So it's really easy to get over in the Philippines. Even I myself, when I was starting out, super green as hell, I got over. And that's the beauty of the Philippine crowd. And that's why people who visit the Philippines always say that they want to come back.
Gotcha. Most notably, one of your matches in China was against Balian Aki. I don't want to say respected name in Japan, even though he is.
Yes.
But just an international, superstar at this point.
Yeah.
What was that experience like wrestling Bellion?
I had no, I'll be honest, I had no clue about who he was. The most I knew about him was he was flying over from Japan. And when we met, I was much greener than he was. He didn't make me feel that I was terrible, He wasn't a snob about anything. He was a really down-to-earth guy. And I'd like to think that I kept up with him, despite me being of a lower skill level than he was, because he had Japanese training. He was in better shape. And I had culture shock myself when I wrestled him, because I was trained to wrestle soft. And when people would wrestle me, they would get mad when I would accidentally stiff them. But he worked really, really snug, and he worked heavy because that's how you are trained in Japan.
Strong style.
I wouldn't say strong style because he wasn't doing the MMA stuff, but really they're taught to really lay it in because you have to make it look real, right? You have to make it look like a real fight.
Right.
And that was the really surprising thing, that I was getting hard hits, but I didn't complain. But I also realized, okay, we can do this. We can do this way. I didn't know, and I've been chasing that feeling ever since.
So it kind of seemed like you were able to kind of let your hair down, so to speak, in that match.
I wouldn't say so because I was working that match sick. I was dealing with a cold before I flew out to China, and it was a miracle that I was able to keep up with his pace because in Japan, or apparently his training, you are taught to keep going and going and going. Whereas if you are trained in the American style, there's a point where you have to slow down and give the babyface the heat, right? So when we were working our match, that wasn't the case. Like, he expected me to keep going, and that was a bit of a culture shock as well. So I wouldn't say letting my hair down, but I will say that it was more of I was forced to stay on my toes for the whole thing.
I gotcha. Alright. I think it's time, once again, for that segment, Romeo's Bizarre Adventure. You're in the pro wrestling world, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Oh man, I didn't prepare for this. Wow. Bizarre story that I experienced. Okay, yeah, for sure. We wrestled this one show in front of 3 people. An entire gym, an entire basketball court was rented out for us by a benefactor. And the benefactor promised us that they were able to draw a whole crowd. And what had happened was nobody came for whatever reason. Maybe it was the venue, maybe because there was the parking, and nobody came. And the worst part about that was that the basketball court was housing some fire evacuees who had just suffered a fire in their homes like a couple of days before. So we displaced those evacuees who were sleeping at the court to wait for a crowd that never came. So that was bizarre in a really, really sad way. And we were promised pay no matter how the gate was, and up to now we still were not paid for that show. A whole roller coaster of a whole train wreck of problems all around for that event.
Was that the trip where somebody punched the cow?
No, that was not. I was not part of that trip. I was not part of that trip.
Okay.
That is a bizarre adventure that I was not a part of. So
Okay.
that's why I didn't say that.
It sounds like you got out of that bizarre adventure, but you also had your own bizarre adventure.
Yeah. It was a wild west back in those days, back in the mid 2010s.
Oh yeah. All right. I imagine this was a bit of a bizarre adventure as well. You met the king, Minoru Suzuki.
Yes, yeah. I was just in Japan back in May, and I was watching some wrestling shows as a wrestling fan should. And on a whim, I had missed a DDT show that morning because I didn't realize that the show was 11 in the morning. So I was over on another side of town, or another side of Tokyo, and when I realized that I missed it, okay, I figured that, okay, I'm just going to go look for things that my family and my friends wanted me to buy and bring home. So I was in Shibuya, and I was already in the area, so I went up to Harajuku and visited Pile Driver, Suzuki's store. Lo and behold, there he was. There he was, fresh from the DDT show where he had just won the championship.
Wow.
So I wanted a picture, and I was not going to get that picture if I didn't buy anything from his store. So I bought 2 shirts and got that picture. I tried to tell him I was a wrestler, but in the Philippines, but I don't think he fully understood, and he kind of knows so bad.
But I mean, hey, it's still the king, no?
Yes, that's right.
One of
Really a core moment.
one of the most intimidating figures in pro wrestling, and
Absolutely.
having met him myself, yeah, definitely very intimidating. I'm hoping you could tell me what this means, because I'm not quite sure myself. What does Cher have to do with your wrestling career?
Sorry, who?
Cher.
Cher?
Yes.
Not Cher, the musician. Definitely not her. Cher is the name of my ex-girlfriend from the mid 2010s. So Cher was the one who sewed my first Sandata masks. So she was integral to the Sandata character, because without her, I wouldn't have had wrestling masks for the character at all. So I don't know what I would have done in terms of having a mask to wrestle in without her. So that's basically it.
Okay, I gotcha. I thought you just, listen to Believe once and decide to
No. No.
Alright, different show. Alright, can you tell us about your love of Magic the Gathering?
Hey, yeah, absolutely. Before I was a wrestling fan, I was a Magic fan. I was a Magic player, rather. My parents had gotten a Magic set for me back in the Christmas of 1999, and from there it just became an obsession. I enjoyed playing. I enjoyed the mind work. I enjoyed the setting, the universe of Magic the Gathering, and I had I wouldn't say addicted, but it's just a comfort for me, a comfort pastime for me. And I took it all the way to adulthood. When I finally had adult spending money, I got back into it with my friends, and I did not look back. I leaned into it because I'd finally been able to have access to get the cards that I wasn't able to afford back when I was a kid, back when I was a teen. So now I create Magic content, and I play regular games. I live and breathe it because is me healing my inner child, the inner child that did not have money to spend on Magic back in the day.
What cards were your first ones that you got once you had, adult money?
I had dabbled when I got adult money. I started playing the Commander format, or Elder Dragon Highlander, which had been gaining popularity in the mid 2010s, and now it's the most popular format in the entire game. Like, most people come into Magic learning about EDH, about Commander, and playing that first, despite the baggage of having the entire game's history of cards, in that format. So I had started with cheap cards because back when I was playing as a team, I had only played the cheap cards, and I realized, okay, I have the money to spend more on better cards, and that it just snowballed from there. And now I am in a financial hole, a bit of a financial hole because of that.
What's your preferred deck?
The one I keep going back to, or the color rather, I keep going back to, the archetype I keep going back to, is mono red burn, mono red aggro. So I am a simple player at heart. I like dealing damage, and that's the best way to deal damage. It ends the game pretty fast, and I am also kind of impatient.
How do you feel about blue deck people?
I have a friend who really, really hates playing against blue. But I don't hate it. It's part of the game. It is fun to play at times. It's just not my most preferred way to play. But, blue paired up with other colors is totally A-okay with me. I like playing all the colors. I like everything about Magic, really. I don't hate blue the way other people do.
Alright. Can you tell us about the wrestling podcast?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. The thing is, before I became a wrestler, I had been writing about wrestling since 2010s. So, if you are familiar with lordsofpain.net, I was a main page columnist for lordsofpain.net. I don't know if you're familiar with that. You had the news on the main page, and then at the bottom you had columns from wrestling analysts who are just really fans who had watched too much wrestling. I was a wrestling analyst first before I was a wrestler, and in the mid 2010s, Stan C and I had who I met in college as a fellow wrestling fan, as a friend of my ex-girlfriend from college. Because he was a radio DJ, and I wanted to do some, radio things. We did a talk show. We did a podcast. We tried to do a podcast about, about WWE, about, the wrestling world in general. So we started a podcast after WrestleMania. Initially, we started recording after Tajiri and Shuri and Mia Yim had come to the Philippines in a show called Joshi Jam Manila in January 2014. So we recorded our pilot episode that is unaired on that night after the show, and after that we just didn't pick it up. And then WrestleMania 30 rolled around. Daniel Bryan won the championship, and after that night, we decided to record a podcast. I can't remember why we decided to record a podcast, which we just did. And from there, it became a weekly thing because Stan was able to secure permission to record in his radio station at the time he was working in at the time, Mellow 94.7 in Manila. So they allowed us to use their studio to record a podcast because Stan's boss thought that it was good practice for him to practice audio production. So from there, we just made it a weekly thing. We started putting it out on, back then it was before Spotify enabled quick publishing of podcasts. We just put it out there on our page. and we got fans. We started interviewing fellow wrestling fans, wrestlers from PWR as well, and personalities. Personalities that we just knew were wrestling fans, and we just kept going, and we hadn't stopped since then.
I mean, quite impressive as well. You're on year 11.
Yes, that's right.
What does that kind of mean to you to have, to go as long as you have? Obviously we're on year 6, so we're trying to get there as well.
I'm honestly pretty tired. I could retire from the podcast tomorrow and I'll be okay with it, honestly, because I think we had set out what we wanted to do. But obviously, we're not done yet. We are thriving more than ever. Now we are getting invited to things. We're getting invited to events. We're getting sponsors every now and then. We had amassed a fandom, a small fandom, but a really close fandom. We're making money on Facebook. It's just going upwards. It's still going upwards on our 11th year and counting. So what it means to me is that we have been recognized by the local wrestling fandom as a pillar, as a foundation of the Philippine fan base, the Philippine wrestling fan base. And again, like I said, things don't mean as much to me when I'm in the moment compared to after the moment, So right now, I don't feel the gravity of it all just yet, but I have to remind myself that we are kind of a big deal. I wouldn't say we are totally a big deal, but we are kind of a big deal to wrestling fans in the Philippines and Manila, and to Filipinos around the world as well. So I try to keep that in mind, because if I don't, I will take everything for granted.
And I mean, if there was ever a time to retire from podcasting, it was going to be before All in Texas, no?
Probably, yeah.
I mean, not just that show, but just, that weekend in general. I just remember just my mind melting from all the wrestling.
Yeah. Oh my God. That was terrible. I blame WWE for that, because they did not have to do that. They just wanted to do it. But yeah, people were relying on us to give our takes on both AEW and WWE. And personally, I also wouldn't want to let them down by shying away from the challenge, if you will.
No, as somebody that literally reviewed all of those shows that week, I feel the same way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, if you wanna, you have to get the job done. You have to.
Yeah, exactly.
But I noticed that you guys have been kind of branching out into movies as well, no?
Yeah, that's what I was saying about us getting invited to things. The folks at Paramount Pictures just invited us to watch Gladiator 2. So that was our first ever invite to a movie screening. And I don't remember why they thought of us, but despite being a historical epic, it made sense because it was violence for entertainment, and that's what wrestling is. So we totally jumped at the chance to do that, because it wasn't so far from reviewing wrestling. And now I'm glad. I think I'm glad to say that the movies people value our opinion enough on TV and film that we are getting these invites for stuff. It's not exactly wrestling, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's why I say that we can't retire from the podcast yet, because we are still reaching new heights with this.
I gotcha. Well, maybe even going from movies, you could even review music as well.
Yeah, totally. I would love that.
I mean, you do have a love of Twice, no?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. That I do.
Tell us about it.
Okay. I had embraced my inner K-pop fan during the pandemic, and first it was Blackpink and BTS because they were the more popular ones
Of course.
at the time. But Twice also made a comeback in 2020 that I really, really enjoyed. And I was kind of dabbling in it at first, but then I discovered a love that I was kind of repressing for female pop, for girl pop, for girl pop songs. I was kind of suppressing that because I had grown up, as a kid, as a boy, right? So we didn't really, or it was kind of scoffed at for boys to listen to girl music. But I really, really enjoyed girl music, female vocalists, female artists, things like that. So I enjoyed Twice's work. I also it helped that they were also popular in social media on TikTok, where you would hear the songs being used for trends. So it went all in. I enjoy listening to Twice. I'm a big Twice fan. Also a fan of the other K-pop groups, but Twice is now my home group. You know what I mean? I'm leaning into that because no one. I'm trying to make it a part of my character as well because no one has really leaned into K-pop as a gimmick in local pro wrestling, and I don't think anyone has done that yet in Major League Pro Wrestling around the world. So I kind of want to be the first one, or maybe one of the first ones, to embrace being a huge, not a huge, but a really notable a vocal K-pop fan as a wrestler.
I think that's a great segue into the colossal question. Let's say that they're making a movie about you. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
Wow, what a question! Wow. Maybe the first one would be the Backstreet Boys. We've got it going on. I'm also. I grew up a Backstreet Boys fan because as I said, when you were growing up a boy, you were expected to listen to boy groups or to boy artists, male artists. So I was a Backstreet Boys fan. I still am. Second would be a rap song. I'm also a big hip hop fan. I just don't know which. At this time. So I'm saving that second spot for a rap song.
Okay.
My third song would be Twice and I Can't Stop Me. That's the first Twice song I ever heard, and that was the first Twice song I fell in love with.
Alright. So we'll come back to the second song. Give you some time to think about that rap song.
Yeah.
And go on to the next phase of the question. Everybody knows you get the soundtrack first, then you write the script, and then you go to the casting. Who plays you? And you can't say yourself because you are obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Yeah. That's a great question. I would probably say this Filipino actor. He is a young dude. He's a young guy. He's in his 20s. I'm not sure if you'll be familiar with him. Maybe this actor called Donnie Pangilinan. I think we look pretty similar. He has this really local look, a Filipino appearance, Filipino look to him, Filipino aesthetic, and I feel like, I'm not saying I look as good as he does, but I feel like we could be, somehow similar, if you know what I mean.
I gotcha. Alright. Now, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you and your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
Wow. Damn. You're really making me think here. I don't know. You have to have a main max, a Stan C, and I don't know who the other one would be. Maybe a Jake De Leon or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I am coming up blanks right now, but I just know that those three would be the roles to fill, if you will.
And we could leave it up to casting if you would like.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Have you decided on a Dort song?
Oof. All Right by Kendrick Lamar. Maybe that's the song I would use.
All right. Well, this is sounding like a great movie, a blockbuster to say the least.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
And you could pre-order the tickets now. Onto a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Love it. Absolutely love it. Anytime I order pizza from anywhere, whether it's Pizza Hut or any other pizza brand here, I always get it.
All right. So very pro pineapple on pizza.
Yes. Super pro pineapple on pizza.
Now I do have one Philippine exclusive question as well.
Sure.
Jollibees or KFC?
Man, it depends on what I'm feeling. I don't have a preference over both, or either rather. Sheesh, it depends on what I'm feeling really, but in a vacuum, I will go for KFC.
Okay.
In a vacuum, but that could always change depending on what I'm feeling.
Fair enough. What's your spirit Pokemon?
Spirit Pokemon, Hawlucha.
Wow.
Easy. Hawlucha.
You had that ready to go.
Yes, of course I have it ready to go. He is the only luchador Pokemon. That was me.
The only luchador in Philippines.
Yeah. Well, not anymore, but you know what I mean. I was the first.
Exactly. Weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical Rock.
Sure. I think I can make it work. That would be a nice challenge to test my on the fly ring calling skills and my bumping skills. Why not? If anyone would pay to see me wrestle a Rock, why the hell not?
Well, just for context, there is a wrestler named Psycho Mike that indeed wrestled a Rock for over 15 minutes
Really?
in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match
Tungsten
that
Man.
lasts for 2 weeks.
Jesus.
Yes. Quite the spectacle. On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I honestly don't know. I this is a question I don't like answering because I genuinely do not know. It is tough for me to picture myself in 5 years because so much can change in a month, in even 3 months, that it's tough for me to predict where I am going to be in 5 years. It's entirely possible that I will be in a different country, maybe out of the wrestling business as I try to provide a life for myself and whatever family I might have by the time. It's also entirely possible that I'm here and I'm still wrestling. Anything can happen really, and I don't like predicting what it is going to be because I don't want to be disappointed by what I didn't achieve or what didn't happen, what did actually happen, you know?
What country did you have your eyes on?
I don't know. Possibly Australia or maybe New Zealand. I don't know. I honestly, maybe we're going to try for that. I don't know.
I do know that there is some pretty good wrestling organizations
Yes.
in
Oh, yeah, for
Australia.
sure.
So, I mean, hey, maybe you could be wrestling in another country.
Yeah. Who knows, right?
Exactly. Right. Since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom. This is our speed round or bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
All right, do it.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Bryan Danielson understood what wrestling was and how violent it should be way before he joined the WWE.
Worst wrestler.
I don't like saying. Okay. Here's the thing about worst wrestlers. They're usually people who don't have the skill to make it to the major leagues. So I don't want to say who. I don't want to name drop anyone, especially from both the local scene and in the worldwide, the global scene. I don't want to put that out in the world.
So you'll be taking our default answer.
Who is?
You have chosen Eva Marie.
You say that, but Eva Marie has made more than any of us, so it's tough to say. But it's again, sure. I mean, like, if you want to say that, then sure. I don't want to knock anyone who tried who tried doing the thing at the highest level.
No. I did not say that. You said that.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
You chose the default answer.
Okay, sure.
Your main evented WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Daniel Bryan.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
The Brood.
Hell yeah. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
Kayfabe is dead. Dead is dead. Super dead.
We would have also accepted tastes great on toast. Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
Fruit.
Yes, it is indeed a fruit.
Yep, I knew that.
Yes. New Japan wrestler Taichi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
Sheesh. Appropriate. What is appropriate even? Tasteful?
Appropriate.
Just a little bit of cheek. A little bit of cheek is tasteful.
So about like 10-20%?
Yeah, I would say.
Okay. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No.
And that's the correct answer. And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
I appreciate that. We like to make it interesting for our guests. Once again, can you tell us where we can find you on social media?
All right. If you want to see my work, if you want to see clips and snippets of my work, it is at shang.daddy, shang.daddy, on Instagram and TikTok. I'm also on Twitter if you want to talk wrestling, at Roiswar, ROISWAR. That's where I'm most active, really. You can like my Facebook page at Romeo. That's a capital R space O space M space E with an accent and space O. You will see it because there are spaces in between the letters. So please do follow my page. I'm regrowing my Facebook following, because I deleted my original Facebook page. So please, I'm trying to rack up more followers. Please do find me. Let's talk wrestling.
Hell yeah. Do you have more merchandise?
Not at the moment, no. But I will let you know when more pop up.
Alright. And you don't have to go typing it into your Google machines. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and CastBox, simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Give him a damn follow.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment. But on YouTube and CastBox, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews, and follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on X, Thread, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesG993. Right, when I say wrestling with, you say entertainment, okay?
All right.
For our very special guest Romeo, Coleco Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.